Daniel was a man of unshakable faith, whose wisdom and devotion to God made him stand out among all the men of Babylon. Living under the reign of Darius, Daniel achieved a high position of authority, being one of the three main administrators of the kingdom. His integrity and dedication were so remarkable that the king himself considered promoting him over the entire realm. However, this distinction did not please everyone. Many of the other leaders and satraps began to feel envious of Daniel and, driven by this sentiment, sought ways to bring him down. They knew they would not find any fault in his conduct unless they found something related to the law of his God. Thus, with cunning and malice, they devised a plan to use Daniel's faith against him, convincing King Darius to sign a decree that would put Daniel's life in great danger. Daniel, being a just and faithful man, dedicated himself to serving his God, praying 3 times a day. His devotion was unquestionable, and this made him an easy target for those who wanted to see him out of his position. However, Daniel never imagined that his fidelity to God would be the key to a challenge that would put his life at risk, testing his faith in unimaginable ways. What followed would be a series of events that would demonstrate not only the strength of Daniel's faith, but also the power of God in protecting those who trust in him. The envious satraps and administrators carefully observed Daniel's habits and noticed that he prayed to God 3 times a day without fail. They decided to use this devotion against him. They went to King Darius and, with flattering words, suggested a decree. For 30 days, any person who made a petition to any god or man, except the king, would be thrown into the lion's den. Flattered by the idea of being worshipped as a god, Darius signed the decree, not suspecting the true intentions of the counselors. Daniel, aware of the decree, did not change his behavior. He continued to pray to God as he always did, with the windows of his room open toward Jerusalem. The conspirators, attentive, soon denounced Daniel to the king, claiming that he had disobeyed the royal decree. Upon receiving the accusation, King Darius was deeply troubled. He liked Daniel and respected his loyalty and competence. He spent the rest of the day trying to find a way to save Daniel, but the law of the Medes and Persians, once signed, could not be revoked. Reluctantly, Darius ordered that Daniel be thrown into the lion's den, but not without first expressing his hope that Daniel's God would deliver him from this terrible fate. Daniel was then taken to the den, and a large stone was placed over the opening, sealed with the king's seal and that of his nobles, so that the decision regarding Daniel could not be altered. Daniel, however, was not afraid. His faith in God was strong, and he believed that God would protect him. The lions in the den were fierce and hungry, but Daniel trusted that God would send an angel to shut their mouths. As he was led to the den, Daniel prayed silently, asking for God's protection. When he was finally thrown into the den, a sense of peace enveloped him, for he knew he was not alone. The den was then sealed, and the conspirators rejoiced, believing they had finally rid themselves of Daniel. Daniel, in his constant faith, never thought of betraying God's trust. The daily prayer was his sacred routine, and he would not abandon it even in the face of a royal decree. He knew the men were plotting against him, but his trust in the Most High was greater than the fear of any human punishment. While the conspirators plotted, Daniel prayed. His prayer was not just an act of devotion, but a deep communion with God, whom he knew to be his true strength and protection. The other leaders, however, were confident they had caught Daniel in an act of disobedience to the decree. With great excitement, they went to the king to ensure the sentence was carried out. The king, upon hearing about Daniel's disobedience, was dismayed. Darius had great affection and respect for Daniel, and was distressed to learn that the decree he himself had signed would put Daniel's life in danger. Despite his attempts to save Daniel, the irrevocability of Persian law left him powerless. With a heavy heart, he had to give the order to throw Daniel into the lion's den, expressing his hope that Daniel's God could save him. Daniel was taken to the den, and a large stone was rolled over the entrance, sealed with the royal seal, ensuring that no one could alter the fate that awaited Daniel. Night fell, and King Darius, filled with anxiety and sadness, could not sleep. He fasted and refused any entertainment, his heart heavy with concern for Daniel's fate. At the first light of dawn, Darius got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he reached it, with a trembling voice, he called out to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" To his great joy, he heard Daniel's voice respond, O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, O king. Daniel's response brought immense relief to King Darius. He immediately ordered that the stone be removed and that Daniel be taken out of the den. When Daniel emerged, there was no wound on his body because he had trusted in God, and God had protected him. Darius, amazed by the miracle, acknowledged the power of Daniel's God. The king then issued a decree, proclaiming throughout his kingdom that everyone should fear and reverence the God of Daniel, for he is the living God who saves and performs wonders. Daniel's voice echoed through the den, filling Darius's heart with immense joy. The king, almost unable to believe his ears, immediately ordered that the stone be removed and Daniel be taken out of the den. The servants rushed to comply with the order, and when Daniel was pulled out, he was completely unharmed. There was not even a scratch on him, a living testimony to God's protective power. King Darius was amazed by the miracle and, in gratitude and reverence, acknowledged the power of Daniel's God. He declared to all present the miracle he had witnessed, and a new decree was issued. Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, and men of every language throughout the land, proclaiming, peace and prosperity. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed, his dominion will never end. He rescues and saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. This decree echoed throughout the kingdom, serving as a powerful testimony to Daniel's faith and the power of the God he served. Darius, radiant with joy and relief, ordered that Daniel be immediately taken out of the den. When Daniel was pulled out, there was not even a scratch on him because he had trusted in his God. The king then ordered that the men who had accused Daniel be thrown into the lion's den along with their families. And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. To show the greatness of Daniel's God, Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, and men of every language in the land, proclaiming, peace and prosperity. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. The story of Daniel in the lion's den spread throughout the kingdom and beyond, serving as a powerful testimony to Daniel's faith and God's power. People began to see that true faith could bring deliverance, and that Daniel's God was a powerful God, worthy of reverence and worship. Daniel's example inspired many to keep their faith even in the face of the greatest adversities. The news of the miracle spread quickly, and the story of Daniel in the lion's den became a powerful testimony to Daniel's unwavering faith and God's saving power. Throughout the kingdom, people heard how God had sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions and save Daniel. Many were inspired to strengthen their own faith, seeing Daniel's example as proof that trust in God can bring protection and salvation in any circumstance. King Darius's decree also had a profound impact, promoting respect and reverence for Daniel's God throughout the empire. The king made it clear that Daniel's God was unlike any other, for he was a living and eternal God, whose kingdom would never be destroyed. This proclamation not only solidified Daniel's position as a man of great faith, but also served as a milestone in the history of God's people, demonstrating that faithfulness to God can bring great miracles and transform nations. Daniel's story continued to be told from generation to generation, inspiring and strengthening the faith of many throughout the centuries. The story of Daniel in the lion's den is a powerful testimony of faith and trust in God. Daniel faced an impossible situation, but his unwavering devotion was rewarded in a miraculous way. Daniel's courage and steadfast faith serve as an inspiration to all of us, reminding us that even in the most difficult situations, trust in God can bring deliverance and victory. The story also highlights the importance of maintaining integrity and faith even when confronted with adversity and opposition. Daniel could have chosen to give up his daily prayer practice to save his life, but he chose to remain faithful to God. This decision to follow his faith, despite the risk of death, shows the depth of his trust in God. And it is this same faith that we are all called to have, a faith that trusts in God above all things, even when circumstances seem unfavorable. Moreover, Daniel's story teaches us about divine justice. The men who plotted against Daniel ended up being punished by the same fate they had planned for him. This reminds us that God's justice may be delayed, but it never fails. God takes care of his own, and in due time, he acts in favor of those who remain faithful to him. Daniel's story also encourages us to be bold in our faith. We live in a world where the pressure to conform to human standards and decrees can be intense, but we must remember that our primary loyalty is to God. Daniel did not hide or compromise his devotion, even knowing the consequences. He continued to pray openly, demonstrating that his faith was unwavering and public. We must strive to have the same courage and firmness in our spiritual journey. No matter how difficult the circumstances around us may be, we must remain firm in faith, knowing that God is faithful and powerful to deliver us from all situations. The story of Daniel in the lion's den challenges us to reflect on the level of our own faith and devotion. Are we willing to trust God with all our hearts, even when we face challenges? May we learn from Daniel and allow his story to inspire a deeper faith and a stronger commitment to God in our own lives. Thank you for watching this video about the inspiring story of Daniel in the lion's den. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting and exciting Bible stories. Leave your comment below about what touched you the most in this story and which other stories you would like to see. Keep following our channel for more content that strengthens faith and brings valuable teachings. See you in the next video.